All right, legends, let's analyze the situation here for the price of Bitcoin because we have broken trend. We are at the risk here of getting a larger drop to the downside, of course. Make sure to absolutely destroy the like button. We'll be analyzing here the situation for the price of Bitcoin. Let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me, legends. Yes, by the looks of things, we are live. Microphone is on. We'll be analyzing here the situation together, guys. Let me just go quickly through the comment section. It is Friday evening. My goodness, we have broken down here, guys. We're going to explain a little bit of what happened yesterday. We did get a little bit of news coming out, bit of local volatility, little pump, little dump right now. Of course, we are breaking the overall trend here. It's not looking too great for the price of Bitcoin. Bullish case scenarios are basically, lots of them are getting, invalidated, and, we just did not continue this uptrend, right? We need to talk about what was mentioned yesterday throughout this range. I have to say, I missed out on shorting this, guys. Of course, I did. I missed out on this short. I wanted to see a few things. Of course, regardless, it was 2 o'clock in the morning when we got this price action, so I probably wouldn't even shorted it anyway. So let's analyze the local situation for the price. Let's talk about what we mentioned yesterday and what could happen next. What are the big major levels of support? Could we get a pretty significant reversal bounce? Are we just going to capitulate right now? This is very, very risky area. We've just lost now with confirmation those lows, okay, that higher low support trend line, and it's not looking too great for the price of Bitcoin. Longs become extremely risky at this point. There are several levels to consider a long position. I was in a long position, just got stopped out at break even right now as we speak. It is what it is. Of course, the trend is your friend. The local trend is to the downside. However, just don't want to short down here, right? It's like, trend is your friend, but I don't want to short down here, realizing that we could get a relief rally at some point. So let's see how the price does. We're getting that news that came out right now. We do have core PCE, which was slightly higher than expected. Personal income higher than expected, 0.8. The forecast was 0.3. So personal income, is actually relatively bullish kind of news. The price action gets that local volatility up and down. Okay, very, very hard in this area with the news event. And I want to know your opinion. Are you feeling very bearish for Bitcoin, or I am bullish? Let me know right away. I'm going to create that poll right away, and we're going to talk about the different scenarios, okay? Especially what we talked about yesterday, which was very difficult, okay? Very, very difficult, I have to say. But yeah, we'll go through anybody that was bearish. We broke trend. This is bearish, right? There's no doubt about it that it's just lost the uptrend momentum from the last couple of weeks. That's it. We're losing. We are, looking for a larger pullback down, okay, by the looks of things. So it becomes extremely risky unless you have very good risk management and realizing the levels where you could attempt a long position and be very defensive. This is no zone to, I'm getting into a swing long position, right? And I'm going to add to the position. This is not the kind of trading that I do. So, I wouldn't do that personally, just realizing the risk of the downside, right? There's a massive downside risk here. And I would rather look for scalp day trade long positions. Also interested in some shorts that I'm going to talk about. Okay, they are major levels, major wave scenarios that I want to explain throughout the live stream. So make sure to stay tight here. There's long, boring explanations, guys, but this is what it is. Okay, technical analysis, right? Unless you're passionate about it, analyzing very carefully the waves and the scenarios. We're going to talk about yesterday's price action, which was very interesting. Okay, because I was interested in the short position, but we, I was sleeping anyway, regardless. So I'm happy we did this. I would have missed the short anyway. But we were interested in, I was interested in a kind of a short yesterday based on the contracting move down. Okay. So we're going to go through this and we'll give that explanation, because you realize that you are likely not going to capitulate down when you have this price action. Okay. Many reasons to believe it. We hit the 0.88 right over here, packed with 3 wave structures. But from this moment, you already have a 5-wave move to the downside. And up here, you already have a zigzag. You already have it, even though it's a small one, it's a 3-wave structure. So we did create the high, we did correct down, and we did create another higher high. That's already the zigzag. You know, yesterday we were talking about the potential of breaking this lower high and creating this capitulation stage, right? It's very, very classic kind of price action. I would have preferred higher. I would have preferred the 7/8 Fibonacci. So I would have missed out on this short position anyway, because I wouldn't have shorted here at this level. Okay, so maybe some aggressive traders got into the short here, and like mentioned yesterday, you got the lower high resistance trend and you got the breakout, right? Breaking out here. Breakout traders maybe are going to put their stop losses here, or they won't have any stop losses and they're getting absolutely wrecked, or even stop losses beneath this low, right? So very classic to see this kind of wedgie pattern to create that fake out and roll back down. Okay, it's just very, very classic, especially considering this scenario. So it would have been nice, you know, we talk about different trading plans. I would have missed out on the short anyway, guys. So I didn't manage to get into this short position. So it is what it is, right? You know, I'm not sure, maybe some other people are more aggressive and say, you know, I'm going to enter the short here anyway, and I'm going to put stop loss, I don't know, here, right? I need the levels to be hit, right? I need the levels to be hit. You know, sometimes this is what happens when you are a consistent trader. You need to create several plans, because one of the plans will happen today, tomorrow, after tomorrow, and that is the trade that you want to get into, right? So this is why you're here. We do create the several different plans, the different levels that could be hit, right? The different projections, and then eventually execute that trade, right? Once the plan happens. So let's go right away through the comment section. Okay, so many different scenarios, of course, as always, guys. There's always many different scenarios. Okay, many different scenarios. The thing is, now the price could capitulate. Yesterday we were like, I don't like this. You know, I know that we're not going to capitulate down with the next movement here. This was all explained yesterday. However, when you have a 5-wave move down, right, in a wave 1 or a wave A, it doesn't matter, and you form a 3-wave corrective structure, once you created that 5th wave, right, you have 3 peaks, which is giving you that 5-wave move down, and then you have a zigzag kind of corrective structure to the upside, which is this one right over here. You have it right there, A, B, C. It's a 3-wave move up, as you can see here clearly, after forming the 5 waves down. So now, since you create the next wave to the upside, you can get the big drop. This one ended up in a very shallow 3-wave move, right? It's very, very rare to see this kind of move to the upside with a very, very shallow 3-waver. It would have been nice, more symmetrical, right? See something like this, see something like this. Then you say, okay, this is looking pretty damn good. And this is what I want to short, right? This was overall one of the plans that were talked about yesterday. We need a 3-wave structure up here. I would love to see the 7/8 Fibonacci being touched. And, you know, that would be in the ideal short position. Golden Pocket was the one that got the rejection. Maybe some aggressive shorters wanted to get into this instead of waiting for this high to be taken, or 7/8. So anyway, interesting that the 3-wave scenario happened, but it was just very, very shallow, right? It was very, very, the C wave was so shallow here that, and then we got the rollover, right? Rollover happened. So I was very much aware of this happening. Just wanted a little bit higher, to be honest, right? So yeah, let's go right away through the comment section, and then we're going to talk about, okay, now that we've got this movement, how is the map looking, right? How is the overall map? Because this is a map, guys, you know, and you need to understand that inside of the map, there are several routes, right? There's several routes here on the map, several different destinations that could happen. And we want to try and figure out what destination we could be heading to look for the trading opportunity, right? So let's go right away. And I shorted from the top of 𝗖𝗍. Absolute legend. I was sleeping at that time. It was 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. Regardless, I wouldn't have able to short the level anyway, okay? Because, you know, it was bedtime for me. I'm not staying awake. I used to before, not now. Stay awake at late hours to trade. But let's ask the community. Are you feeling? How are you feeling? What is your sentiment? What is your sentiment, legends? Let me know. Very bearish. I am bullish. Let's leave that poll right away. What is your sentiment for the coming days? We are entering into the weekend now. So weekend is very well known for range formations. So let me know what is your sentiment right now on the poll here, guys. I would like to know your opinion. Okay, are you feeling bearish? Are you feeling bullish? Let me know, bearish or bullish, throughout this drop. There is a massive bullish case scenario, guys, and this has to be talked about. This has to be talked about, right? Because it's all about traps, right? It's all about trapping. You know, you must see many thumbnails and many titles from other different, you know, analysts, influencers out there. Bitcoin is trapping you, right? Bitcoin is trapping you. I've seen so many traps out there throughout the last few months. That's, you know, absolutely crazy. So we do have the breakout of this descending wedge trap, which happened yesterday. You know, we talked about this. It was just a very small breakout, but it would have been nice to get a bit more of a breakout and then really be a proper bull trap, right? So is this a bull trap right now? Is this a bear trap now? Sorry, with the breakout of the uptrend support, right? Because anybody would realize that this looks weak, right? This is a corrective move from the downtrend of the last few weeks, and it's over. You know, this is, you know, very likely going to come to lower levels in the next coming days. Right, just a bit of common sense. And looking at the overall trend, it was nice to see this little uptrend, but it looked very, very choppy. It looked very corrective. And, you know, we were very much aware of the sign of weakness right now. This was overextending. We did have the contracting move, which is a bearish pattern. Eventually, it's a possible wave one. Then you get the next leg to the downside. So question is this a bear trap? There is one very rare scenario that is actually getting a rally all the way up to the highs and then coming down. I mean, this would be absolutely craziness, right? There is actually a valid scenario here to pump up to 89k and then get the drop, guys. Believe it or not, there is a possibility based on the chart, and I want to explain that regardless if it happens or not. It needs to be talked about. So, I mean, that's an unlikely scenario, I have to say, okay? It's an unlikely scenario, but you know the deal, right? When we talk about unlikely scenarios, it is still a scenario that is there. Anyway, let's go through the comment section first of all, and then we'll look at different possibilities. And with the different possibility movements that could happen in the next coming days, we do have some setups, right? It's a bit of higher time frame setups. Today, I need to give a shout out to Aiden. You know, we were very much looking for this long. It might even bounce from here, guys, but it's been very difficult, very choppy with the news. I hate when we have news events exactly when we are looking for a trading opportunity. It just creates volatility. You're close to your entry. Regardless, there is a possibility of a bounce here. You know, very much aware of the price action bouncing. But if you have news exactly at your trading moment, you just need to stay away, stay defensive, you know, and there will be better trading setups, right, throughout the next coming hours, coming days, which we could be analyzing right now on the stream. So Aiden in the Legends trading community, shout out to him, because I got into a long, but it's ever so slightly higher. Maybe maybe some of the legends are still in that long position. it was literally a swing failure pattern from this higher low right over here. Okay. So some of the legends that might be in that long position still, it was a test of the lows right over here. And this is bottom catching, right? Which is extremely dangerous, realizing the possibility of a capitulation, just rolling down to much lower levels. But there are ways to trade this safely, right? Where you can minimize your loss. And when you zoom in on that higher low, it just ever so slightly tapped it. So you got a possible epic entry in this area and your stop loss beneath the low. And, you know, sky's the limit on this, right? You are looking for some different projection targets. But, you know, obviously a TP1 would be this support resistance flip right there. That would be your TP1. And if you break out from here, then eventually you'll just maintain some of that trade open. But this as a risk to reward is massive. And I just want to share with you because I missed out on that one. But it was provided from one of the coaches in the Legends trading community. I mean, look at this. This is like, if you want to catch the bottom, he provided the setup here, which is literally that higher low that was created a few days ago, right? Last week, which is sitting at 84,600, right? Give or take 84,700, right? I don't know the exact level. 84,000 on Bybit here, 750. Very sniper, very very good entry point if you want to like catch the lows. Okay, catching the lows is extremely risky for all of those unexperienced, right? Because you can get you know, if you don't manage risk, if you do not put your stop loss where it needs to be and your entry trigger where it needs to be, you know, people can get, you know, caught on that. You know, I hope it reverses and doesn't know how to manage risk, and then you capitulate down, right? So anyway, shout out to Aiden in the Legends trading community for that epic entry, which, you know, it's a pure sniper. It's a sniper, risky. If you don't know how to manage it, eventually you need that low to be take and then enter on the exact small little bounce, okay? Just a few dollars as you get above it, and then sniper that long position. But it is risky. We are downtrending. There is that risk of capitulation, but it's a very, very solid entry, I have to say. Very, very solid entry right there. We're going to be talking about the different scenarios that could happen, okay? Not looking too great. The momentum to the downside could continue eventually, as we have lost here the momentum. And there is a reason to believe that you could actually continue the momentum down, right? If I have reasons on the chart, then, you know, I have to share them, right? However, there is a problem with this contracting move, this that we were talking about yesterday since we created this low, right? We know the deal, right? Elliott wave theory, you need 5 waves, either in an impulse or either in a contracting move or an expanding move, right? Where you do have, you know, an expanding formation with 5 wave, which is very, very rare to form, but they do form. When we do analyze this as a contracting move, the problem is with this movement to the upside, and this is realizing the possibility of this being a fake out, guys, okay? The price of Bitcoin moves also with massive fake outs. Most will be bearish with this breakdown. It's, you know, pretty obvious, right? Just break of trend. And when I do take a look at the poll here, then, oh, you know, very bearish. I am very bullish. I am bullish. It's a 50-50 out of over 200 votes. I'm actually surprised. I would have expected that more people for the coming days. I forgot the days right there, guys. I'm eating my words. What is your sentiment for the coming days? Very bearish. I am bullish. Ever so slightly. It's a 50-50 here, which I'm surprised. I would have expected more people saying, you know, it's bearish. Okay, we're breaking down. But there are a few scenarios regarding the bearishness here. Okay, the timing is the problem here. The timing the timing of this being a moment of capitulating down based on this three-wave structure to the upside. I realize the possible epic bounce and recovery from this level, guys. There is, and whoever's in the legends in that long position, they just have such a good entry. They say, follow the trend is your friend. But I'm not interested in shorting down here, I have to say. You know, I'm not interested in shorting these small little bounces. Just being aware of a little bit of a larger bounce, okay? We're going to talk about some local resistance zones. But I'm very much aware of a larger bounce, okay? So shorting down here is like, you know, no. You know, it's not going to happen, at least for me. So the problem is with this ABC move that we were talking about yesterday, right? Would have been nice to get a little bit of a bit more of a symmetrical one, right? A little bit of a larger C wave move up, get the fake out, and then get the capitulation, right? Get the, well, capitulation, get the reversal of, you know, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. But this ABC was shallow. It was shallow. It did not claim the highs. It's very common to claim some lower highs right there for an SFP. We did actually SFP from the recent lower highs from yesterday, right? Which was basically the A wave, you would arguably discuss. There is a problem with this. And the problem is the timing. This has been a very quick corrective structure for all of this movement down. Very, very quick, which is rare to see. It's not an invalidation, but usually you would want to at least cross the 382 Fibonacci time, or the, at least the 382 Fibonacci time, right? Taking the start of the movement down of the contracting move to the end of the fifth wave. And you would say, you know, at least this corrective move to finish after the 382 Fibonacci, right? Which is leaning today and just a couple of hours from now. So you would really want to see that high finish in this area, right? So it would have been nice to see something like this and then get the movement down. So this correction has happened too fast, right? More than usual, right? Most of the times you do cross the 382, right? And then potentially you do get the drop, right? So at the end of the day, you're looking at something like this, right? To be a little bit more symmetrical with the movement down. So it's been very, very fast. And this, of course, brings you different options. This is too fast for a corrective move. So you need to realize the different options that there is. One of the options, and you know, this might sound stupid right now as we're breaking the overall uptrend, but it's just something that is possible just because how fast this was, this corrective move. And that is eventually looking at an ABC flat kind of formation, right? Which would be absolutely epic to consider a short, right? This would be actually a pretty decent short position to then get the larger correction. Why is an ABC flat here possible? It is possible because this zigzag move up that we had yesterday was very fast in time. It's not an invalidation. It just gives you the possibility of this happening. So you have a zigzag here. There is a zigzag possibly counted here in your B wave. Very aggressive, but it is possible. We'll explain that right away. And now out of nowhere, right, you get a pretty decent impulsive move up to claim 87,500, right? Claim those lower highs of yesterday. This would be a zone of interest without a doubt. It would be a little bit too obvious for the short position, but it would be nice to get up there because it would be a level to consider a short, right? Let's leave it that way. I do not know if it's going to get up there, guys, but if it were to move up there in a 5-wave structure, right, then it would be a good short. There's a technical reason for that, and you would be testing the scene of the crime, as they like to say, which is the breakdown of the support, right? Every time you break a major level of support or resistance, it is nice to kind of back test it, right? Kind of a little bit of a back test. So considering the a little bit of Elliott wave theory here, there is the possibility of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're forming a flat right now, and then you roll down. It's like massive craziness price action where, you know, the traders are going absolutely bonkers here because, you know, people that were bullish yesterday are potentially longing this descending wedge. You know, this was very much something that we were aware of yesterday. Do not trust this breakout, guys. Do not trust the breakout here because there is a very high possibility that the breakout is going to be a fake out and you're coming down to sweep up the lows. However, this breakout would have been nice to get a little bit more kind of bullish, right? You'll get some longs entering on the breakout and then get the movement down, right? This is the kind of the perfect scenario. It's just the breakout was very, very small, and that ABC was very, very small, very, very small zigzag, as you can see right there. So yeah, this is a difficult. Somebody said that they actually shorted the top of the C wave, right? You know, this is something, you know, that we were discussing on yesterday's stream, and I got someone in the comment section saying that they did actually short the movement up here. I'm not sure if you were considering a double top right there locally yesterday, right? And actually shorted here with your stop loss above the high. Very much a very good trade, I have to say. Very good trade. Bit aggressive, just realizing that C waves usually, you know, get a little bit of a rise. Would have been nice to get a bit more of a rise here, get lots of people bullish on the breakout of the descending wedge, and then get this move. But, you know, just good to be aware of, right? Good to be aware of that scenario that we mentioned yesterday, because a lot of people are going to see this as a bullish pennant. They're going to see it as a descending wedge that's going to break up. And yeah, eventually that is not the case. You know, the fake out and come down is very, very, very common to see. So now we need to think about, there's a lot of people bearish. It's breaking down. I mean, it does make sense. There's so many scenarios of realizing that the bearish momentum could continue. You know, it's the pretty obvious thing as you're losing trend here. Let me just put the aircon on because I'm feeling hot and I need to put the aircon on, and I need to go through the comment section and say hello to the beautiful community. But let's go right away through the comment section. Let's smash up that like button. How many likes do we have, guys? Let's do an overcount of the like button. We do have over 100 likes, almost 700 people watching. Oof, that like button, guys. It's not working. The like button is not working, legends. Come on, let's give it a few likes because we're going to build up some scenarios right now together from scratch. Clean chart. No major nothing here of indicators, just a clean projection analyzing the waves, Fibonacci, and a little bit of high confluence levels of support and resistance that we need to consider. Let's go right away through comment section. Say hello to everybody. Is 𝗖𝗍 safe? Nothing is safe, guys, in this world. Never mind 𝗖𝗍. What is safe in the world, guys? Is it safe, you know, buying real estate? Is it safe buying, you know, holding massive amount of cash? Is it safe holding Bitcoin? Bitcoin for the long term is very safe, in my opinion. So is 𝗖𝗍 safe? 𝗖𝗍 is, you know, it has proved itself to be a good project without a doubt. But anyway, let's go and say hello to the beautiful community. Not sure how you doing, Jacinto. Justin, bearish if the daily closes under the 200 MA. I like it. I like it. We've got some moving averages. Analyst in the comment section. I'm stuck at 86k. Can BTC go back? You're stuck at 86k in a long. Oof. 86k in a long position. I'm not sure why there is a long position at 86k. Maybe we didn't swing failure pattern from these lows, so I'm not sure why you would enter a long position at this zone. Interesting. Can we go back up there? I think there is a possibility of getting a bounce to that zone at least. We can go through the different scenarios. There is a chance getting up there. to this region, okay? Not a bad idea to exit, sorry. Not a bad idea to exit that zone if we do get the bounce, okay? We've got many reasons to be a little bit more bearish here. Not a great entry, I have to say. 86k, I'm not sure why you entered there, but I think a relief bounce is very much highly likely, okay? It's highly likely to get a relief bounce, whether it's going to be corrective or it's going to be impulsive. There are reasons to believe it could be impulsive, guys, and I know it sounds like absolute craziness, but there is a possibility for an ABC flat here. Believe it or not, you'll believe it once you see it. But a possibility here for this is there. It's on the chart. Just because this corrective move was very fast. It was very, very fast. There is a chance for this. So let's go. We're going to talk about the scenarios right now. I'm just waiting for the like button to get absolutely destroyed. How low are we going? 76k. It is an option. It is an option. We got many different other bullish options as well. Need to give a shout out to 𝗕𝗏𝘆𝗽𝗫 also, that I was seeing that he was talking about in the legends about several different contracting moves that could be in place, right? We need to talk about all of them. We need to talk about the different levels of support, projections. It's going to be a good one, guys, here, because there's a lot to talk about, and I really want to, you know, structure this and go step by step, okay? Every single different pattern projection has a setup, okay? So all depending on how the price action develops in the coming days. We are entering into the weekend. Weekend is usually relatively rangy. I mean, if we do get that volatility, hopefully it is going to be for today. But a bounce is very, very possible. There is another scenario here. Oh my goodness, there's just so many scenarios, and I haven't really organized them that well, but I can see them on the chart regardless, okay? So bear with me here. The possibility of a relief rally here is very, very possible. I do see here a relief rally happening from this zone. Why? When we do analyze the lower time frames, and that's what I like, guys. When we do take a look, I want to go through higher time frames, guys, but just lower time frames is where you have the meat and potatoes. That's, you know, for the day traders and scalpers, right? So when we take a look at the lower time frame from that very quick, fast, poor zigzag ABC move that we had yesterday, what we do have here, which is extremely interesting, is how we moved down since we created this high. How did we move down? We moved down pretty damn impulsively. It does look pretty, at least in this move here. But from the highs, what can we see? We can see from this high right over here, we can see a movement down and a three-wave corrective structure. Pay attention here, guys, because here is where, you know, you realize the possibility of a reversal here. You realize the possibility of a round formation and get a little bit of a bounce, regardless if it's going to be strong or not. Because when you move down here, okay, you got one wave and you got a second wave, right? I've got two waves here, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, right? A and B. I don't know if it's going to be an A and a B or a 1 and a 2. As we do have this from yesterday's highs, a lower high, 1 and 2, this is your next movement. Analyzing this next movement, damn, this is aggressive. You know, this is an aggressive move down. So you have two options here. You have two options. One option is you have an ABC, very aggressive C wave, I have to say. You have an end of a 3-wave move because you can count a 5-wave move down in this zone. There is a 5-wave count, even though it doesn't look like it, guys. I've zoomed in, I've analyzed it. We can do that on the stream here, but there is a possible 5-wave move down here. Just realizing that the highest amount of volume is in this move right over here. Highest amount of volume. The most aggressive move down that we had early this morning was in the middle. So that's perfect for your wave 3. Perfect for your wave 3. And then your wave 5 creates the choppiness, right? Very classic for a wave 5. Volume is decreasing compared to the big movement down. You got a possible end structure here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We could go steadily here, micro counting this, guys, but this kind of price action that we have formed throughout the last couple of hours is incredibly ending, right? You know, we've got the first wave down, the bounce in a zigzag, and then you have either a 3-wave move down and you are in the formation of your 4th wave, and then you get an extra leg down here. This becomes a very strong impulse. Or you have a finished ABC. I would say that this is a finished structure down here at the lows. My question is it a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? But there is a valid count to count this as an end of an impulse, right? An end of a movement down. Your highest amount of volume is in the middle with the most aggressive move that you had today, which is this one right over here. This one right over here with the highest amount of volume, the most aggressive movement down. This is not that aggressive because you're kind of going sideways. So you realize that this is an ending structure, You know, the only question that I have right now is, could this be a 1, 2, 3, 4, and you know, you're going to break down in a 5th wave now, right? Because if it were to be a 3-wave ABC, you have, you know, this should be a local low, and a reversal is very much a possibility. So now the question is, you know, is it an ABC, and we're going to get a pretty significant recovery in the next coming hours, or is it a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And you're forming the 4th wave, because I understand that this is an end of a move. We got the news volatility here, so you kind of hit the minimum target already for a wave 4. It would have been a bit quick for this to be a wave 4, I have to be honest. But you have hit at least the 236 Fibonacci from the highs to the lows, right? It would be very shallow. It would be very quick. You know, you would prefer the 4th wave at least to get to the 382 50% Fibonacci. Get a bit of a larger bounce. This is why 86K zone is very much a possibility. So you can probably be okay with that trade. But remember, don't enter a long trade here at 86K. I don't know why you entered here, but you might be just fine because a bounce to those levels is highly likely. But get out, right? Get out. Be safe. Could we bounce to higher levels? Very possibly, yes. But anyway, you know, analyzing the local time frame is what we need to see, right? You know, this is understanding when the end of a wave is on the formation is very important, guys, because getting into short positions here on small little bounces is not going to give you a good projection, right? I'm more interested in longing here, trying to long the lows and the possible reversal. Shout out to Aiden for getting into that epic long. We got a bit of news volatility in the middle here, which is in between our possible reversal, which is not helping. But this is the overall question for me right now, okay? If this were to be a 1, 2, 3, and we are in the formation of a 4th wave, this 4th wave should end at the 382 50% Fibonacci from the highs of this lower high, okay, to the lows. And 236 has been hit already. So you know, a minimum target for that fourth wave has been hit. Usually it's in between the 236 and the 50%. So, you know, this is where you would expect the rollover back down if you are going to create a fifth wave. If that is the case, there are some very interesting levels to consider a long position, okay? You know, regardless, the lows here is good for, you know, for speculating on a long, because there is a chance that this could be an ABC. It's finished, guys. You know, you formed an ABC up here, an ABC down. It's possible. We've got a finished wave. Now we need to see the fourth and the fifth. Will we get the fourth? Preferably you hit 382 50% zone if you want to speculate that it's a fourth wave and you're going to get another wave down in a fifth. These are very, very shallow levels to get into a short. I can tell you that. I'm not interested in shorts down here. I would rather speculate on a long on the reversal bounce. The thing is about this movement, it would be so epic to get a gigantic bounce and come all the way up to 87,700. Sorry guys. It would be so epic to see something like this. Right? And that is literally trapping everybody. That is trapping everybody, you know. Then it's, you know, Bitcoin is trapping you, right? This breakdown is a fake down. The main reason why there is a good option for this, guys, is because of the very, very fast movement that we created down, okay? The very fast movement that we created on this correction. This is too fast of a correction if you're considering the contracting move down. It's too fast. And too fast in timing. And when you do consider this, you realize that the price could snap all the way up here because there's so many people interested in shorting eventually the breakdown, right? It's just like getting into the breakout of this bullish pennant. Descending wedge. This is bullish. We're going to go to 90K. And we spotted yesterday, just because we created this low, and I don't like speculating on contracting moves unless, you know, more than half of the pattern is formed, right? This is why, you know, yesterday with this low, then eventually you take it into consideration. The fact that we've moved up so fast here in an ABC in timing compared to the contracting move, it just gives you the option that maybe this was not the end of the correction and you're going to get a surprise kind of move like this, and then the price will come down. It sounds unreal, but it is possible because this happened too fast. So the speculation about this move doesn't mean that it's going to happen, but if it does happen, guys, okay, this is the importance of analyzing and creating a plan, that if the price does come up to this zone in a 5-wave move to the upside, okay, you can consider this an ABC flat. ABC flat. And then the price gets the drop that we are looking for, right? For 83K, 81K, right? Kind of thing. It sounds unreal, right? Right now. Come on, we broke trend. We ain't going to go up there. There's many reasons to believe that this could happen. Okay, it's a valid count looking at the analysis here. So I do not know if it's going to happen. It probably won't happen, guys. But if it does, this area, which is back testing the scene of the crime of the ascending support level, right, would be a classic, right, kind of, you know, people will say we're back above the trend line. This is bullish. It's a good speculative short position. You know, if we were to get up there, it's not that far away. It's $2,000 of a pump. It's not that much. But I would consider it. You know, it's a very, very valid count. It's a very, very valid count. And here, at the end of the day, you would be looking for that rollover to finally get a larger breakdown, right? So at the end of the day, this would be a swing failure pattern right from the highs. Test the lower highs of yesterday, and then get the rollover, right? Back down to the lows and even lower, right? You would project possibly the price really coming down to 83K later on. So it's a setup, it's a possibility. Will we get that setup? I do not know. Maybe. If it does come up there in a 5-wave structure, guys, I have a plan. I have a realistic plan based on what we formed here, and realizing that the pump that happened yesterday, the corrective move that happened yesterday, was too quick for a symmetrical correction to get a proper strong capitulation down. It was too quick, guys. This movement up, you need to see kind of a trap sign of strength. Nice 3-wave structure. This is bullish, guys. We're breaking, and then get the breakdown. You want to see it at least crossed the 0.382 Fibonacci time from this movement down. And then you like, okay, this is why yesterday the plan overall seemed good for the next 24 hours to get that kind of bounce. If we would have been trading here today, I would say, guys, we're probably going to capitulate down. Very choppy, very 3-wavy, but it happened too fast. It happened too fast. Very quick 3-wave structure here. We can go extremely bullish now. Let's talk about the bullish case scenarios, okay? Shall we go extreme bullish? Because there are a few bullish case scenarios, guys, that I want to talk about. So this is one scenario, guys. It's a plan. It's a reaction zone. It would be looking absolutely epic. Of course, this would be turning into a larger 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or an A, B, C, right? And you actually sweep up 83K and you go lower. So, I mean, this trade would, TP1 would be the lows, but you could leave some open for the projection down if we were to get it. It's a valid swing failure pattern. It is important for me to actually sweep up the highs of yesterday. Sweep up the highs of yesterday is important for me, and get the rejection to place my stop loss above the rejection high and speculate on this ABC move to roll back to the lows. So it's an option, it's a trade. Let's move to the next option, right? We write this in our trading book. That's what I do. I create several options for the day. I have them in my mind. I know the different options that could happen, and I set the alerts and I analyze how the price moves up to certain levels or moves down to certain levels to execute the trade. So let's talk about the other scenario. Let's talk about some other scenarios. And somebody did ask me yesterday, out of speculation, what if this is your 5th wave of the contracting move? What if this is the 5th wave? It could still, you know, it can get out of the support, guys. You know, this is a valid option. As long as your 3rd wave is not the smallest wave, which is not, because your 1st wave is the smallest one. This wave right over here is larger than this one. So the 5th wave can be slightly longer. It's okay. It's okay to fake out from the lower low support. Is this an option? Absolutely. It's still a valid option. It's still a valid option right over here. Let's get this trend line, because this trend line is only going to confuse confuse us at the moment. And this is it's very wishful analysis, guys, but it's valid, right? We need to talk about the valid options because we have broken trend. It looks bearish. Come on, you know, why are you wishing that we could come up there, right? You know, come on, it's bearish. We're breaking down. It's just a valid way of projecting what could happen. Okay, it's a valid projection based on the counts, so you need to consider it. I'm not saying that we are going to go up there. The price does look weak. I am looking for a bounce here locally, but this bounce could be a fourth wave and we create one more low. So, I mean, we need to talk about that as well, okay? We need to talk about it right now, actually, before we take into consideration this scenario, right? So let's change scenarios here, and let's talk about the local breakdown that we've had here today, right? Because we've got a breakdown. It looks pretty impulsive. When we zoom in on the lower time frames, as mentioned, this could be a third wave, okay? We're breaking down very impulsively. The trend is your friend. Stop wishing for a reversal and analyzing this as an ABC 3-wave move, and the price is going to reverse right now very powerfully and smack out of it, right? Snap out of it. And this is a 1 wave, a 2 wave, a 3, and you forming the 4th wave, and you're going to get the 5th wave now, right? So realistically, trend is your friend. It's breaking down. This is a small little bounce, and the price is going to create one more wave down. There's no doubt in my mind that all of this is the 3rd wave. It's where the highest amount of volume is. Okay, you're creating a range and a little bit of a bounce. So, you know, I realize the possibility of reversing here based on an ABC. ABC, price suddenly starts climbing and you're like, whoa, this is why for me, shorting this 4th wave, I don't like it. I don't like it too much. But the trend is your friend. The probabilities on the lower time frame, on the trend, right, is kind of leaning to the downside. So, you know, jumping into a little bounces here, you have probability in claiming the low, right? Let's leave it that way. I'm not liking it. I would rather prefer to see another move down and speculate on a long position. Where would you long if you see the next wave down, right? We get a breakdown, we get a wave down here. From yesterday's highs, this is what we're looking at right now. We're looking at a possible 5-wave move down on the lower time frames. If we do get the next wave down and we claim the lows of today, I will be looking at this as very likely ending at some point to get a significant bounce. So I would be still interested in looking for longs here. I want to long good support levels. I want to long good projections based on the waves. And there are good levels to do this safely, right? I'm not interested in shorting the 4th wave here right now. And you may ask why? You got to risk it for the biscuit. We're downtrending. Based on what I explained before, this could be a zigzag move up, a zigzag move down, very aggressive C wave, but it's an option. And the price starts recovering from here out of nowhere. So I know why it's recovering, because this ended up being a 3-waver in the end. So trying to risk here the 4th wave, you know, the best option would be trying to short the 50% Fibonacci and stop loss at the golden pocket, which is your invalidation. Better to short at higher levels. I mean, depending on how your strategy is and where you're putting your stop loss. But I am aware of this scenario. We've hit the minimum target. We could create another wave down, regardless if it is slightly higher or not, right? So now what we're looking at here is we get the movement down. We form a nice 5-waver. The highest amount of volume is in your 3rd wave. We know that, right? This is what we're looking at. right? Possibly the price does roll down in another wave. As this wave is the most powerful one, you realize that the next wave, which is going to be the fifth wave, is not as powerful, right? The probabilities in forming another wave down here to the downside of this, this projection is unlikely, right? You're not gonna form a wave like this down here. This wave will be weak. Okay, the wave down, if it is going to happen, will be weak. It's not going to go down to $81,000. Highly unlikely. Okay, we're gonna not say it's not, because then it will do that, and like, you said that it was not going to happen, right? So it's all really understanding where would I be interested, right? Where would I be interested in this fifth wave to finish, where I realized that we could find support. And this is where you need to zoom out, right? What if this is a 5-wave move down? And obviously after a 5-wave move down, most commonly, you would find good support. We're going to talk about the confluence levels right now. And you would look for a bounce at least above the 4th wave. Very commonly, when you form a 5-wave move down, very commonly you get a bounce on the correction at least above the 4th wave. It's very, very common to see. These are one of my favorite kind of setups. Okay. When this was an epic setup a few weeks ago, where we speculated on this being the wave 4 right over here, and this being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we were analyzing very carefully that the 5th wave was going to be an expanding move, which did end up in a 5-wave expanding move right over here. And we had the strongest level down at $78,000, which was a naked point of control. And when when we form this expanding move down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then we're looking for a bounce at least to reclaim 90K. So this was the overall target, and this was the Trump tweets, right? So the Trump tweets actually did help to get the target from a long position of this range. So let's go through the very local price action and analyze, this projection, right? If we were to get that leg down here with this projected move, what is the strongest level of support, right? Where could you speculate that this 5th wave could find support and get a bounce from? We're going to go zoom out on the 1 hourly time frame, and we're going to analyze the confluence levels, right? And this is, Elliott wave theory gives you a good sign on if you get another leg down. I know that this leg down is likely going to be weak. I mean, at least weaker than the 3rd wave. It's highly likely. You could have expanding 5th waves, which are very uncommon. But I know there is a high probability that the next wave will not be as powerful as this one that we had today. So with that theory, I'm interested in looking at high confluence levels down here. When we do zoom out, okay, and I don't know what the price is going to do, guys. Forget about those people that are saying we're going to pump or we're going to dump. It's all about the probabilities and building up the map to say, okay, if we move like this, then we can do this, right? If we move like that, then we could do this other thing, right? It's all about that, okay? Trading is all about that, mapping the different scenarios that could happen either for shorts or for longs. So, okay, we finally get a movement down, we form a wave 4, and we break down today's lows. It happens, right? Let's just say it happens. I'm not interested in trading this wave 4, guys. As mentioned, there is a possibility of a pump. But we form a lower high and the price breaks down. I know that this wave will be shallow, will be not as powerful as the breakdown that we had, and a bounce is very likely to happen okay, once we hit certain levels of good support. Where do we have that good support? First of all, we can get the fixed volume profile or the VPVR, right? Just the volume profile, very good, okay, indicator, right? Where it just shows you where the biggest amount of volume is. I mean, in this case, we got higher volume up here, but you can see where the big spike of volume is from the trading zone of the last few weeks, right? Let's get a fixed volume profile. It will be a little bit more cleaner here to actually show you from this range, right? Where do we have the highest amount of volume throughout the range of the last few weeks? It is right over here at $84,000 range, right? $84,000, give or take, 84,100. So you got a big point of control of a range right there. Point of control of the last 2 weeks, right? Big level, big high volume node right there. It's kind of, you know, in Confluence, if we want to get another leg down, right? If we're going to get another leg down, if we were going to get another leg down, this is not what is going to happen. It's possibly what could happen. We know that, you know, I like that level. It's starting to look interesting. We've got a nice high volume node from this price action on the volume profile. Okay, so I like that level. It's good. I got a projection here on the lower time frames. Okay, tick. We got something here. We got something. We have something. Then what I want to take a look at is the Fibonacci retracement, right? Another good tool, of course. We love Fibonacci. Fibonacci is everywhere. It's on the charts. It's in our real life. The 382 Fibonacci from the lows at $76,000 to the high, the 382 Fibonacci retracement is actually where we have that point of control. So coincidence? Yes, it is. The 382 is an important Fibonacci retracement to consider a local reaction, right? Bounce. That's where we have the point of control from the last 2 weeks. It's a strong level. And when I realize a little bit of Elliott wave theory, I understand that the movement down will unlikely have enough power to capitulate down. You're likely going to get some kind of relief first and then maybe capitulate down, right? Get a little bounce to get people a bit bullish, rest of it, right? And then get a breakdown. Because the waves come to an end, right? The waves do come to an end and you get the reversal. So the same to the downside, it will come to an end and you will get a significant bounce. 2 levels of Confluence at the moment, legends here. We do have the point of control of the last 2 weeks. We do have the 382 Fibonacci taken from the low to the high of the recent pump that we had in the last 2 weeks. I'm starting to like this level. I'm starting to like this zone. It's, you know, we've got a bit of, we got something, right? We do have something. Just with that, I would say that this is a pretty decent level to hold as support and get that bounce, okay? I would say the entry zone is what's going to be tricky. How do I enter? Where do I put my stop loss? Projection is the highs of the potential bounce here. The possible lower high that you form here is the projected move. So we got the projection, we got the TP zone, first take profit. The entry and the stop loss is what's going to be a little bit complex. So what we need to see here is on the movement down is literally a 5-wave move to the downside. How can we move a 5-wave down here? There are a few options. It could be an impulsive move. You got the largest wave being the 3rd wave, most commonly. You got a contracting move to the downside, right? All depending on how we move down to this zone, we need to try and detect the 5th wave. the last wave, because this would be a fifth wave of a fifth wave, depending on how we move down here. But overall, the confluence area is there. So what is very interesting about this $84,000 range as well, if you want to add more confluence to the level, is that you have the previous month close. Previous month close is sitting ever so slightly above 84,250. Okay, the previous month close is sitting at that zone. I mean, it can be a little bit of a strong level. It can get volatility. Okay, you can see how previous month close, not too much here. Not really much of a level here. Very volatile. You can see it's a little bit of resistance. Previous month close. It's just a level. I wouldn't trade a previous month open or close just on its own. It's just to add confluence to the zone, which is at $84,000. So when we go and see the monthly chart, previous month close, which was a very devastating monthly candle, right, on February, very aggressive. The close from the previous month is sitting very near where we have that point of control of the range of the last 2 weeks, right? You know, this point of control of this area. So it's interesting. It's interesting that, you know, this is a good level of support to get a decent bounce, potentially of $2,000 plus, right? So that's a major level of interest here, legends. Okay, major level of interest. Major. You're gonna have to analyze a little bit the lower time frame, guys. Of course, you don't want to really catch a falling knife. You want to really see the price moving down in waves, right? You want to move down in those nice waves where you can, you know, see the movement down, right? You can see how up, you know, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This could be the end. And then you're looking for this bounce. Okay. So it's very important to analyze how the price comes down there. You know, to really count the high probability reversal sign. Okay, so you have the projection of the of possible 5 waves down. It's possible. You've got the largest wave here, which is most commonly known as the third wave. You could be on the formation of the fourth wave. Very choppy, very long, very confusing. That's what usually happens, right? Your fourth waves are usually longer. They're the ones that are shallow to the 236, 382 Fibonacci zone. Maybe 50% as well is an option. You got the previous week close at 50% Fibonacci. It's in that area. You got the support resistance flip at the 382 50% zone. So it could be that you could get that resistance here and then get the leg down for all of those big bears and that want to follow the trend. You know, there is a chance of rejecting here in this zone. You got support resistance flip. It could get choppy here. You got the previous week close, and you do have the 382 50% Fibonacci area, which is the common zone for your fourth wave. So anybody that's considering, you know, the downtrend and the possible rejection, I mean, this is the best option with stop loss at golden pocket, right? You're projecting this movement down. So that's another option here, guys. Okay, so we've covered this scenario. As you can see, this would end up with a long setup, depending on the wave formations, to sweep up the highs of today, the lower highs of this speculative fourth wave, right? That's the most common zone for the bounce to get to, at least at a bare minimum. Okay, so that's one setup here that I am interested in. That's one setup that I'm interested in. And another setup was mentioned here throughout the last 10-15 minutes, right? Which was the flat scenario, which is very wishful thinking, but it's a possible, right, scenario. Very wishful thinking with the contracting move. There is that possibility with the short right there that has been provided at the beginning of the stream as well. if we were to move up here in a 5-wave move impulse of some kind, this is a good swing failure pattern zone. Back test of the scene of the crime, as they say, and then get the rollover. Option also pretty decent, you know, it's a possible option. Let's leave it that way. That's only if we get a pretty nice strong recovery out of nowhere, right? Which is doesn't look real, right? It doesn't look realistic right now as we break in the trend and we're rolling down. Let's talk about other different options, right? These are very local scenarios, but people are interested in the local scenarios. We'll end up going through the higher time frame ever so slightly to look at the different higher time frame scenarios, right? So let's go right away. And by the way, guys, if you are interested in trading, Weeks has a great deal at the moment. It's been going for a few weeks now, this deal, which is a 50% deposit bonus. It's $1,000 max cap, okay? I know a lot of you have signed up already, but overall, if you haven't signed up, if you want a platform that only requires an email and a password, you have that option, all right? No documents, no nothing. Email and password, start trading. You have the bonuses as well, which is the 50% deposit. And you do get instantly 25% fee reduction, okay? 50% deposit bonus, but 25% fee reduction signing up with a second link, guys. Another way to support the channel, another way for you to get cheaper fees, right? On a sign up on this exchange, and you can sign up just with an email and a password. Let's go through the other scenarios that I am looking for here, guys, and we can many different things, guys, many different things. It is Friday. We want to chill as well throughout the weekend with family, right, or friends. Let's talk about other scenarios. Let's keep a blank chart here. 𝗕𝗏𝘆𝗽 in the Legends trading community was talking about this being a contracting move down. Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's contracting move to the upside, which we need to talk about. There's two options here. There's a finished one. There's a finished contracting move to the upside here, which is without a doubt a possibility. I don't like this wave too much. This wave has been too straight, too fast for it to be a wave 3. Preferably you want to see a 3-wave structure. Okay, quite clear. You got a clear one right over here. You got even a clearer one right over here in your wave 1. This is a bit too fast. You could say that there is a 3-wave hidden structure right over here. Not the most beautiful one, but it's something that we can take into consideration, just because, you know, you do have the 3 peaks, right? You have one peak here, you have another peak here, and you have another peak here. So, you know, you just need to take it into consideration, even though I don't like it too much, but it's a possibility. There's also another one, which is an unfinished one, which is almost about to get invalidated. But if this were to be the case, the fact that we've moved down like this is horrible price action. You know, this is horrible price action. It's very crappy. Very confusing. You know, not been an easy range, even though I managed to jump into a long yesterday, made a bit of profits here. It didn't take the rest of the profits because I had my take profit above this high, which was, you know, it's very common to sweep up that high. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about what could happen next as well, right? If this were to be a finished 5-wave move in a contracting diagonal, I have a problem with the correction here. This correction looks like crap. It looks bad. It looks, I don't know, it doesn't look great. So for the moment, what we have here is it is a descending wedgie structure, which is, you know, you automatically convert it into a contracting move, which is the one that we've been talking about throughout the you know, yesterday and the beginning of the stream, which is this one. Okay, if this were to be an end of a contracting move, there's no options here to do anything at the moment based on what we formed here. Okay, there's just nothing to do really here. I mean, on lower time frame we can speculate on that long, as I mentioned. If you were to form a lower high here and get a movement down, there's a beautiful long zone, good support, $84,000 as explained, 382 from the low to the high, the point of control, right? So bear with me here, guys. There's just a lot of information, but that's mentioned about 10-15 minutes ago. We need to talk about the possibility of, you know, what if this hey, mamma mia, what if this is, you know, what if this contracting move has finished here, right? Which is still possible. It's still possible because the third wave is not the smallest. The smallest is your first wave. And in a contracting move, it doesn't matter that your fifth wave is the smallest wave. I mean, the problem is here is, yeah, sorry, my bad. The fifth wave is actually longer than your third wave. So there's no, yeah, this had to be the finished of the end of the contracting move has to be the one. Yeah, there's you know, it can no longer be a contracting move and this be your fifth wave. It has to be this one. Just because your fifth wave actually needs to be smaller than your third wave, okay? And it is already longer than your third wave, if I'm not mistaken here. Yeah, just about longer than your third wave. So, you know, your finished structure here would have to be this one. Yeah, not looking good for this. The only scenario that is available for this is that you do form the flat, okay? Which is, it's still possible. It doesn't look very likely, but it's very, very possible. So this would be your A wave. This would have to be your A wave. And with a miracle right now, you're going to get a bounce. Because you're forming an ABC flat. So you got your A wave, your B wave, and a flat, and then you get the breakdown here, which doesn't look too great. So, you know, in essence, you do have a flat right over here that needs to be on the formation. Doesn't look too great right now, if you ask me. It doesn't look too great. But what you're looking at here is to see support in this region. You know, this should not go to much lower levels. You're kind of at the limit zone right now for the flat. Taking a look at Fibonacci, when you calculate the B wave target of your flat, right, the possible B wave of your flat movement, you need to take into consideration the 236-382 Fibonacci extension from your A wave start to the end of your A wave, and then reverse this, and the 1236-1382 zone, which is where we're actually holding at the moment, is your target for the B wave. Still possible. Still possible. You know, we are holding this zone. Yeah, as you know, the price looks very, very weak eventually. So it is just something to consider. You know, the fact of this scenario, what is interesting is the short, okay? The long based on a speculation of a B flat is not the most interesting long. The interesting short would be this one. The interesting short would be a sweep of the highs. You're testing the scene of the crime, right? The break of support. That is the moment that you would be interested in the short position, right? So, yeah, out of a miracle right now, you would have to see that reversal, right? So it does look like we're going to break down to the lows. So this movement down is going to be looking interesting. Not too many options here for this to get this movement up. Still, you know, still possible. But this would be ultimately bullish if the price does this. This is going to be corrective. You know, this is, at the end of the day, this is an impulsive move, right? Well, it's a ascending contracting diagonal. So this would be bullish for the price of Bitcoin in the next coming days. If the price were to move like this in the next coming days, it would actually be bullish. It would actually be bullish, right? Obviously the C wave here could get a pretty decent projection to 83k or 81k, but ultimately what you would be looking at is a reversal. You know, this is a strong uptrend. This is a correction, and you would be seeing proof of support. I mean, eventually here you would want to see the 5 wave down. Something that we would talk about if we form this, okay? Ultimately, this is the zone for the interesting short, regardless if we get the pump or not. You know, this is the level to short. 87,800, which is literally looking for the swing failure pattern here, just considering that an ABC flat here is possible still, which is this, and this. Just because you have the 5 wave move down, this is extremely shallow and fast. Well, not shallow, it did hit the golden pocket, so, but it was very fast in timing, so you need to give the option of, you know, maybe a flat here is a possibility. So, you know, just taking into consideration that this would be a plan. And that's actually coming up again to the golden pocket, right? From pivot high to the pivot low. Golden pocket, potentially even 7/8 Fibonacci. It would be the ideal shorting zone if we were to get a pump all the way up there. So it's just an idea. It's a possible projected idea, but this would be a nice short. And then we would be interested, of course, in seeing proof of support down here. And start looking for the longs. But this is still, you know, we'll have a long time to talk about this because this is going to take a few days, right? But we'll talk about this if we were to get that pump and that rejection. So there will be time. Let's go. Yeah, is there any other scenarios? There is a few scenarios here. There is a few other scenarios. One is just about to get invalidated, which is a unfinished contracting move, which is almost hitting the channel right now. It's, you know, this is no longer going to be contracting if we do continue down. So this is, I saw 𝗕𝗏𝘆𝗽 posting this in the Legends community, which is interesting still, where you have the 3 waver here, the WXY right over here, and then this is your 3 wave move up in your 3rd wave, and all of this has to be some kind of complex correction, which you know, you can count a kind of a WXY, but all of this being corrective, it's just about to get invalidated, because yeah, this is almost going to be looking like an ascending channel instead of a contracting move, so it's almost invalidated. You would have to bounce from here now. You would have to bounce from this area, which is, you know, it is reacting. The price is trying to hold this zone. It doesn't look too great though, right? Ultimately, we look at the classic higher low support, which is the one that's been broken. But, you know, this would get lots of basic analysts out there, like really, really crazy, right? You know, if the price were to find support in this zone and recovers and gets up to the highs, it's a bear trap, right? It's a bear trap. So, you know, people could be speculating on some longs in this area because it's kind of the bear trap level, considering that there is still a chance on this bullish case scenario, which is almost going to get, you know, I would arguably discuss it's validated already, but 𝗬𝗚 mentioned this on the Discord. Doesn't look too great, I have to be honest. Doesn't look too great, especially with the current price action. But that would be very unusual to see. There is something interesting here that we do have, is very strong. Well, strong. It is macro bullish CVDs. You are getting some macro bullish CVD divergence, which is higher lows on the price action from the last few days and lower low on the CVD from this pivot, from these pivots. The most important CVD divergence are the ones that are forming on the right? The lower time frame CVDs are the most important, which are forming here, and we have been forming very strong local bearish CVD divergence throughout this downtrend. You know, we've got strong higher highs on the CVD and strong lower highs, as you can see here, just claiming the lows every single time. So the low, you know, if we do get higher highs on CVD here and lower highs on price action, you know, the probability of claiming the lows is priority, basically. So you don't want to see local, you don't want to see too many people long in here because they're just going to get shaken out, right? Let's go through the comment section. How is everybody doing? My goodness, I haven't been taking a look through the comments. Okay, many different scenarios, many different ones. This would be the miracle scenario that I think is not looking too great, but you know the deal. Sometimes the less probable scenarios are the ones that play out, right? It's not looking too contracting, I have to say. This does not look good. But it would be kind of a bit of a miracle right now, because this no longer looks contracting. You can take a look at the channel here. Yeah, it still has a bit of room. Still has a bit of room. 𝗬𝗚 pointed out this in the Legends community, and it's interesting. It's interesting. I like the symmetry of it, but price action is looking weak. It's like it needs to hold this level. Your invalidation is basically a few $100s away. So this is something that we'll not talk about potentially in the next coming minutes, because it's just about to get invalidated. But you got, you know, it's pretty nice to see the 3-wave up. This correction, 3-wave up. You would have to consider this a correction. Yeah, this is about to get invalidated, right? Just about. Not looking too great. Just a few $100s away and hitting the support channel. Let's go through the comment section and say hello to the beautiful community. What are your ideas? What do you have? Do you have anything that you want me to take a look at? No major big news that I want to talk about today, but let's take a look at the comment section. There are a few trading ideas. I mean, it looks like that we're going to get the breakdown here. And I do like the idea that I mentioned. Yeah, just in the last 30 minutes of the stream. It does look like we're just going to be about to break down here the lows. And there's no doubt in my mind that this is the third wave. So we're just getting the breakdown right now, testing the lows. So we're going to have to see the development of this movement down. Let's take a look at the lower time frames on this. Yeah, this could still take a little bit of time to develop. I wouldn't say that this is the low of this wave. You know, you want to see this wave, this one, this one, get a bit of a contracting move. 5-waver is going to require a little bit of time here. This is no SFP that I would get into at the moment. Just realizing the timing, right? The timing would be very fast for a double bottom here. It's not an option. You know, I prefer seeing lower, and I prefer seeing the waves develop. See the waves develop here for this fifth wave. Be it a little bit more symmetrical, and just remain a little bit patient till we actually see the right moment to get into the bounce. Not like it. I mean, this short was not for me a solid entry short, I have to say. 382, very shallow pullback. Preferably you do get a bit of a larger bounce to the 382 50%. Very shallow pullback, but it did hit the minimum target, which is the 236 Fibonacci, and now it's just breaking down. So I think the $84,000 range is the lows that are looking pretty interesting. So we are breaking down at the moment very nicely. 84K is our next big major or level of support. As mentioned, we have the point of control of the entire range of the last few weeks. Yeah, that's where we could get supported very nicely. It is the 382 Fibonacci, so it makes sense that it does stop at $84,000, especially considering the lower time frame waves. Let's see how we get down there. Let's go through the comment section, say hello to the beautiful community. Rip Bitcoin. Yeah, it didn't manage. I did get into a long position today, but got stopped out, and didn't get into the short. This is a shallow pullback for a trade for me. The support resistance flip would have been an idea here. Getting to the 382 50% Fibonacci to get the movement down, but a very shallow pullback here. Very shallow. So we're going down. So we just need to remain a little bit patient and see a little bit of proof of support, because I do believe that we are in the formation of the fifth wave here on the micro counts, and we just need to see the price action chill out, form a little bit of a descending wedgie structure, chill out for a little bit, right? No catching falling knives for a long position. So, you know, let's get a little bit of boom, right? A little bit of a wedgie structure. And that's where I would consider now is time for a reversal. So we're dropping down very aggressively right now. We have stock market potentially taking the hit. Stock market is capitulating. Massive correlation, stock market with Bitcoin with stock market lately. These movements that have happened throughout the last 1 to 2 weeks have been extremely correlated, guys. If you did take a look at the price of Bitcoin, let's actually do that now, and put the Bitcoin price here with the stock market. The correlation is insane. Let's put the price of Bitcoin here. With the stock market, you can see right there, the correlation is massive. Here in the pink, we do have Bitcoin. Yeah, you can see that correlation is massive. Massive correlation throughout the last few weeks with the stock market. Whatever the stock market does, Bitcoin follows. So the entire move that we had the second week of March was, you know, you can see the stock market in the candlesticks, and Bitcoin. We can turn Bitcoin in the screw you, Bitcoin. Let's turn Bitcoin here in orange. correlation has been insane. Not sure if you can see that even better. I think the pink was even better, or blue. So in the blue, you have the price of Bitcoin. On the candlesticks, you have the stock market. The correlation has been, you know, massively throughout the last few weeks. Okay, they did decouple a little bit a few weeks ago, but whatever the stock market does, Bitcoin follows. Bitcoin follows, and stock market, as we can see, is taking a big hit now. It's taking a pretty decent dump, and Bitcoin is just following whatever the stock market is doing. So big correlation, stock market and Bitcoin. Let's go through comment section. What are the people saying? People are extremely over 1,000 votes here. What is your sentiment for the coming days is the question. It's a 50-50. Very bearish, says 52% of the people. Very bearish. We can see Bitcoin just rolling down here. I do think that this movement down is coming to its end stages. Okay. I do see this wave finishing round about the $84,000. It's a bit of an aggressive move down. We want to see some proof of support, and I want to see a little bit of a, you know, preferably a kind of a contracting move, but it's moving down very aggressively. If we just continue moving down like this, I'm not interested in the long. Right? If we just slice through the levels, you know, not interesting. You just need to let it go. The shorts have been very difficult for me. As mentioned yesterday we were talking about, there's someone in the comment section that said that got into the short here when we talked about this contracting move. Okay, yeah, this was it, which is very unfortunate. I was interested in a short position. Regardless, I would have missed it anyway. But yesterday, we talked about the possibility of an ABC here, right? Forming an ABC movement. I preferred a little bit higher based on the analysis yesterday. But it was the moment to look for the capitulation, right? Which is happening today. It would have been nice to get a little bit more of a squeeze. 7/8 Fibonacci. Maybe some people just, you know, got into the short, had a stop loss up here, and would have been happy to add to the position if we would have got an SFP. There's many different ways of getting into a trading setup here, but the idea of yesterday, we did not hit the levels that I looked at. Okay, the levels that I was looking at was, you know, basically getting above the highs here and, you know, coming to the 7/8 Fibonacci, which did not happen. So some people in the comment section did actually say that they did manage to short this corrective pump yesterday on the C wave. At the beginning of the stream, someone said I actually shorted that pump, which eventually is a very good short, right? Because we're just so aware that the bulls are losing momentum, especially with this descending contracting move that most will believe is bullish, and we're looking for that fake out and then the capitulation, right? So congratulations whoever got into that short position. I wouldn't have shorted it anyway. For this was a shallow pullback. Would have been nice to get a wick above here or hit the 7/8. It was a very, very shallow zigzag. Let's go through the comment section, see what the peeps are saying. I caught Gala short, says Lauren. Absolutely epic. Just longed crazy. My goodness, guys. You know the deal about catching the falling knives. Be careful. Be careful. Be careful, okay? Be careful catching this. A lot of maniacs here getting to longs. You know, you might catch the long and it might play out, okay? But try and look for good trading plans if you want to be consistent long term, right? Don't go too crazy with you know, let's catch the bottom. You know, we are aware of capitulating here. and getting a decent move down, right? It's time to get the decent move down because we've lost the uptrend momentum, right? So it becomes very risky, despite having any confluence or support or probabilities. If you lose the uptrend momentum that we formed, you know, you realize how, you know, how dangerous it is that you just roll down to much lower levels, right? So I think a bounce is very, very likely to happen in this $84,000 region. But, you know, I'm not going to catch the knife, right? I'm not going to try and long add to the position. It will reverse at some point. This is a dangerous area. It's just dangerous area. The momentum has been completely lost and we do not know what's around the corner. But like I said, I would be patient today. I mean, I probably won't trade it because I'm going to go out for dinner. But if we start, you know, consolidating here, as mentioned, you do have your reasons to believe that this is a finished wave right over here. But we need to see some proof of support. You know, we need to see some support. We need to see a little reaction. We need to consolidate. There's no V-shape. You know, V-shapes are very unlikely. So whoever's trying to long a falling knife and wants to get into a V-shape, I can say, you know, good luck with that, man. I can only give you good luck. You want to see a little bit of proof of support, form a little bit of a wedgie structure, most commonly for a fifth wave. You know, just chill out, right? And eventually shorting down here is not the option. This bounce was a shorting option, but for me it was shallow, right? If you analyze the possibility of this 5-wave move down, which was this and this, right? That should be coming to its end stages around about the 84K zone. This wave 4s are usually shallow. 382 Fibonacci, right from the high of the start of the drop to the low. And we just hit the 236 Fibonacci. It's extremely shallow for me to get into a short here. Preferably, it would have been 382. The trend is down. Get a bit of a bounce for your wave 4. 382 stop loss. You know, it really is the 618, unless you're getting into an SFP here. And you're putting stop loss at the high, but it would have been better for a little bit of a bounce, higher bounce, right, to get this next move down. This is a shallow pullback, which is common for the fourth waves. But yeah, let's go through the comment section. Missed out shorting legends. Missed out on the shorts was not easy. The short option was looking for the C wave yesterday. Would have preferred a little bit higher, but someone in the comment section at the beginning of the stream told me that he shorted this C wave, which was absolutely epic. Which is you're so aware of the capitulation here, so aware of the fake out of the lower highs and then just capitulating, which is literally what is happening today. So whoever got into the short, good on you, epic. Things are looking juicy, says 𝗬𝗫. They are. What are the people saying? I'm feeling bullish, bearish. It's a 50-50, guys. Look how many people. 500 to go down. Long have been the exit this year. Longs have been the exit this year. Well, it all depends on how you longed, right? It all depends on how you longed. I got into more longs the last 1 to 2 weeks than shorts. You know, longed here, and got into the recent ones. Well, yesterday longed here, and the short, I was interested in the shorts, but I wouldn't have shorted this anyway because I was asleep, and I wouldn't have shorted this movement anyway. So would have been difficult for me for entering a short here. But you realize how the shorts are so much more juicy and they give you profits much faster. you know, shorting is it gives you rewards faster because the drops are more aggressive. You know, when you fall down quick. When it pumps, it takes time to pump, right? And it might take 1-2 days, you know, to hit your profits when you're day trading. But when you short, it's like, yeah, I shorted this morning and, you know, got an epic dump down of $3,000, right? In a few hours. So shorts are like more attractive to get into because the profits are faster. But for me, I haven't shorted, guys, you know, crystal clear. Missed out. But I wouldn't have shorted this anyway. I would have preferred a wick above these highs, and then I would have considered the short as per yesterday's plan. So yeah, not much. Congratulations, whoever got into the short. It's been, you know, for me, it would have been epic, much better, even though this was, you know, 2-3 o'clock in the morning to actually get something like this and then get this price action, right? So, which was a scenario that, you know, we talked about yesterday. You know, it is the moment to get that fake out here, legends, and then move down. However, the projected movement didn't happen as expected, and this 3-wave structure was very shallow. So congratulations, whoever. Don't long, you're giving money away, says here, Hopium. Yeah, you need to know how to long, and this is, you know, this is a dangerous area to long. Okay, it's without a doubt, but I would expect a significant bounce at some stage. It's just very hard to get this falling knife. You know, as mentioned at the beginning of the stream, what you do have here is a 5-wave move down. So, you know, I do realize that from the highs of yesterday, which is where this move starts, right? This movement down is where it starts. You just need to know when to long and how to long, right? Because I got into many successful long positions throughout this uptrend. The day trades eventually. They're all closed. But I can say already that a bounce is very likely to happen very, very soon, based on this 5-wave move that I explained at the beginning of the stream. So, but we need a bit of choppiness, right? So what would be ideal right now in an ideal trading world is get a bit of here preferably you form a contracting move. So you actually get the bounce and you start forming this, and this, right? And this would be the ideal 5th wave to form. You realize that your aggressive move is here and your 4th wave has been this one, and your 5th wave eventually is losing momentum to the downside. You're losing power. You're getting into a descending wedgie structure, and that is when you want to speculate on the local double bottom here for your 5th wave, right? You got a good level of point of control at $84,000. That's where you would want to long, right? It's all about remaining patient. It's not saying don't long, you're giving money away. Well, eventually not longing now, of course. You know, you need to know when to long, right? So it's all about planning the trade. You know, I would be very interested in longing this, but I'm not going to long this falling knife. If we bounce from here, then it's like, wow, was not expecting that. You know, but it's all about, you know, when you're trading, it's so many moves are like, oh, you know, I missed the move. It's unexpected. When you are responsible with your trades, you just need to miss out on many movements, right? Many plans. This is why multiple plan formation, like mentioned at the beginning of the stream, you create many plans based on how the waves could form, and you will get one of them that will happen. You will get one of them. You know, this might be the one that actually happens. You know, we might actually form this little descending wedgie structure, which is the contracting move to finish that 5 wave as explained, and then we get the bounce. I would be interested in that long. We need to see it develop, right? And, you know, we have multiple streams throughout the last couple of weeks, right? Check out the streams, guys, from the 21st of March, the stream from the 17th, 18th of March, right? When we are carefully calculating the correction here. And, you know, we realize that this is likely going to be the bottom at $81,000. Likely going to be the bottom here at the low $83,000. Just analyzing the waves very carefully, saying, guys, you know, I'm ready for the long with this movement, to claim the highs, right? And, you know, eventually yesterday, well, the short trade did not hit the target zone for me to happen, but you realize how you can read the market, right? Because when we formed this latest move down, I was like, I'm not liking this 5-wave move down, legends. If we break out from here, I realize it can be a fake out, because this is a contracting move. It's a 5-wave move down. This could be the end of the structure. So you get the point, right? You kind of come to the idea of what could happen. And the overall idea yesterday was create, you know, very likely create the fake out here and then this movement down. However, we didn't pump to the levels. Okay, obviously we didn't pump to the levels that I would have liked the price to pump out to. But you have the idea that this is very trappy price action, and it ain't a bull flag, and it ain't a bullish, pennant. It's actually bearish. And, you know, most importantly is understanding that, so you're not in the wrong side of the market, right? So let's go right away. Continue through. CME gap filled. Oh yes, it's filled. Let me take a look at that. So we got the CME gap filled, which is usually pretty good support, guys. This CME gap filled was very good support. You know, we did get a pretty epic bounce once we filled this gap. So yes, CME gap has been filled from the last few days. Will it be support? I'm interested in the price consolidating here. If we do get a consolidation and, a kind of a wedgie structure, if we do manage to hold support here, as mentioned, I would be interested in the long. As we're moving down with a falling knife, not interested, guys, yet. You know, not interested in longing, not interested in speculating that, you know, it's going to bounce. Let's just add to the position. We do not want to do that, okay? Because that's, you know, this is capitulation zone. You know, hey, the CME gap has not been filled. Or has it? Has it been filled? Okay, yeah, it has. CME gap just about to get filled right now. Just about. Not quite yet, but it looks like it is going to get filled now in the next coming seconds. Just about getting filled now as we speak. So this is the thing about, you do not want to long when, a structure here has possibly finished. You need a lot of information. You need to see proof of support. You need to hold support. You need a reaction consolidation. There's no quick long here, because this, as explained yesterday, is capitulation territory. And I would rather stay away. Said missed out the short position. I mean, this was the short yesterday, but we didn't get that bounce. And just wait for proof of support. Wait for proof of support here. Let's go through the comment section right away. Bear flag formation. Well, yeah, this bear flag ascending wedge. Looks like it on higher time frames. It does not look too great. Does not look too great here on the higher time frame. Let's go through the comment section, see what the people are doing, guys. Let me know. Bulls are getting wrecked. Yeah. Portfolio is not looking great. I can tell you that. This little move down of a few $1,000s is quite a lot of money for me. Whoever holds more than a few Bitcoin, you know, you can see portfolio go down quite a bit. Quite a bit. What dog do you have? I have a Beagle and a Podenco Andaluz. They're ready to go walkies. 70k coming. I don't think it's going to happen tonight, but yeah, there is a chance of losing 76k in the next coming days. All right. In the next stream, we'll be going through higher time frame scenarios, guys. Okay. We will be going through some higher time frame scenarios depending on what we develop throughout today and the weekend. Weekend is coming, so I would expect weekend to find support, be a little bit rangy, get a little bounce, okay? But it's going to be interesting. We'll be coming up with multiple higher time frame scenarios that I do have here, but we just don't talk about them because we're very focused on local time frames, right? But we'll be doing an update on the different higher time frame projections that we could have, okay? Which is, could this be the end? Could this be the end of the correction? Could we see this, which is getting the resistance round about the zone where it should get resistance for this to be a contracting move? We get the leg down to retest, revisit 76K. This eventually is in the coming days. We do have multiple different options, okay, that we can update in the next live stream, okay, or next video update. So make sure to subscribe to the channel, pay attention, because I think I'll do a higher time frame perspective. Mainly we focus on lower time frames, which what we like. Who got into the short position, guys? I have to say, I'm happy to say that I missed out the short. Sometimes you need to come to the stream and say, guys, I did not short. I was interested in shorting throughout the last 1 to 2 days based on this is looking very exhaustive already, guys. Wanting to get into the perfect short. Sometimes when you're very good with your, with your analysis and your levels, sometimes when you're too strict, you just miss out, guys. But there's, I'm not worried on that because there is opportunities almost every single day, right? Or every single day. I like the good opportunities. So you know the deal. If you've been following the channel here throughout the last few weeks, shorts have been, I haven't shorted too much throughout this uptrend. I mainly got into long positions. Long position yesterday with this double bottom based on the contracting move. Wanted to take more profits at the highs, but had to scratch, and this was not an easy short for me, okay? Wouldn't have got into this short on the bounce here, legends. So sometimes I need to come up and say, guys, I missed the short. Missed the day trade short here from the highs of early this morning or yesterday night, depending on where you are. If you're interested in trading, guys, Weeks does not require any documents. You can sign up with an email and a password. It is highly liquid, okay? Lots of liquidity. The spreads are extremely low because it's highly liquid. You get a 50% deposit bonus. If you deposit $2,000, you're getting $1,000 on top of that, guys. Take advantage of this bonus. It's a $1,000 cap, okay? So if you deposit 10K, you're not going to get 5K. Okay, $1,000 max just to add up to your capital, so you can have more capital for your trading, and you get 25% fee reduction instantly when you sign up with the second link down below, guys. Check it out because Weeks, high volume, and it does not require any documents, right? Just with an email and a password, you can sign up, guys. We're just moving down. There's no quick long. It's just roll over here. We need to see a little bit of proof of support, but I do believe that we could be seeing that support at the $84,000 range. And I do expect the price to chill out here in the next coming hours based on this fifth wave, right? We can get to 84, 83.5. It could still stretch its legs to the downside, but I would not expect a capitulation from here, okay? Not, even though it could go to 83,000, this is, I'm not looking for a long yet, okay? I want to see proof of support, and it is Friday. Going to chill out here. I want to see a little bit of a wedgie structure. Would be nice to really understand that this is coming to its end stages, and you will likely get that relief rally. But we want to see that proof of support, okay? There's no quick V shape here, guys. The people that are long in here now are delusional, right? We need to see a bit of proof of support, right? The people that are long in here is suicidal, right? It's not going to do this. The price action is not going to V-shape. It's unlikely that we V-shape or any of that nonsense. It rarely happens. It happens once every 1,000 times. There's no V-shaped recovery here. Very unlikely to happen. So what you need to see is remain patient, proof of support, and missed out the short and not interested in shorting down here eventually. So I want to see a little bit of, you know, proof of support, form a little bit of a contracting move here potentially for that wave 5, and then say, okay, now the long is looking interesting. So let's see if we do get that proof of support. If we don't, lower we go, guys. Lower we go. I wouldn't expect much lower. So not much more to be said, guys. I hope that you do have an awesome weekend. I will be providing a video update tomorrow, Saturday. I'm going to talk about a higher time frame. We're going to talk about Elliot wave. We're going to talk about different projections. And tomorrow is going to be a higher time frame update. I might give 5 minutes for the lower time frame scenarios. Make sure to subscribe, then you'll get that update eventually tomorrow morning, Saturday. Maybe do a live stream on Sunday. We'll see you guys, okay? Stay safe. We are moving down very aggressively. No moment to get into a long. Catch a low, guys, here for me. Just going to remain patient, see what the price action does in the next coming hours. Thank you, and I will see you in the next one.